Hey guys, this week we're going to be talking about graphing and equations of circles. That's what we're going to be doing for about all 5 days for this upcoming week. So we're going to start off with writing the equation for a circle. Then we're going to move to graphing. And today we're going to be talking about graphing, writing the equation, and writing the equation for a graph. So there's a note sheet that I want you guys to look at. That's what we're going to be focusing on to begin with. First thing I need to give you is the standard form and what does it mean. So let's start off with the standard form of a circle when graphing. As soon as my phone focuses. Okay, so we're going to start off. The standard form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to the radius squared. Now, h and k, those are something a little bit different. You know what x is, you know what y is based on the graph, but h and k represent the center of the circle. So h and k are the center of the circle. So if I were to give you an example, like x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 1. Well, we know the center of the circle is going to be 2 because we always do the opposite. If it's a negative, you take the opposite. 2, negative 3. And the radius is the square root of 1, or 1. Always take the opposite because in our formula, it is a negative sign. So you're going to use the opposite. If this is a positive, it becomes a negative. If it's a negative, it becomes a positive. Always use the opposite. So now we're going to start off by giving our center. We're going to have our center, and we're going to write the formula for it. We're going to keep this formula up, or I'm going to put it on here. Here's your note sheet for this week if you want to start looking at it. Let's look at number 1 on your note sheet. So we know this is h, this is k, and this is our radius. For our formula, we know it is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. We know h is 10, so it'd be x minus 10 squared. And k is negative 3. So we're going to do y minus negative 3 squared. And our radius is 5, so we're going to do 5 squared. We're going to keep the x minus 10 because it's pretty much simplified. And y minus 3, if you subtract a negative, that's the same as adding a positive. So it becomes y plus 3 squared equals 5 squared, which is 25. That is our equation. Let's look at number 2. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to plug these into our formula. So it's going to be x minus negative 10 squared plus y minus negative 4. And I ran out of space. There we go. Negative 4 squared equals our radius, or 5 squared. We're going to do the same thing. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive, so that becomes x plus 10 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 25. And that is our graph, or that is our equation for our circle graph. Let's go down to number 3, same situation. And I'm sorry for all the little bars that are appearing. I can't move my paper around too well. So we're going to start again. We're going to do x minus h plus y minus k squared equals r squared. That'd be x minus 14 because that is our x value, plus y. Now, if we subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive, so I'm going to change the sign. 11 over 2 squared equals our radius squared, or 2 squared, which is 4. So far, so good. Let's do one more of these, and then we're gonna move on. No, let's continue, let's finish. Let's finish these. Okay, so we're gonna, again, we know this is our h and this is our k. This is our radius, and 3 squared is equal to 9. We're gonna write that down just so we don't have to think about it later. We're gonna plug these into our formula. X minus 11 squared plus y. Now if we're subtracting a negative, we add a positive. And our radius squared is 9. That is our formula. That is our equation. Let's look at number 6. That way I don't have to move the camera again. Again, this is h and this is k. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. This is our radius. Our radius is 4. 4 squared is equal to 16. Make it a little easier on ourselves. We'll work it out that way. Again, h is negative, so we're going to have to do the opposite. We're going to do x plus 13. Y minus 3. And our radius squared is 16. And the last one like this one, then we're going to talk about actually graphing our circle. And no, it does not have to be a perfect circle, unless you guys have your compass. I don't have a compass on me right now, so mine won't be perfect. But if you have a compass, I'd recommend using that. So let's start off here. The center is negative 16, negative 13. We're going to plug that into our formula, which is listed here, here, and everywhere else on the paper. This is h, this is k. Our radius squared, 2 squared is 4. We're going to plug this into our formula. X minus negative 16 squared plus y minus negative 13 squared is equal to 2 squared, or 4. Now if we subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive. Should be y plus 13. And x minus 16 is this, x minus negative 16 is the same as x plus 16. And that is our equation of our graph. Now, one thing you need to know, if it is just the variable like this one, x squared, that's understood to just be x minus 0 squared. Means the same thing. So our x value, our center, is going to equal 0. That's our x value. And our y value is always the opposite. So if it says negative 3, it'll be a positive 3. That is going to be the center of our circle. The radius is we take the square root of this number. The square root of 16 is 4. So it'll move 4 units over. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go see if I can find a compass. All right, I could not find a compass, so we're just going to start 0, 3. We're at 0, and it's going to go up to positive 3. That is our first point. This is the center. Our radius is 4, so from the center, we're going to go 4 over. Make a point. We're going to go 4 down. Make a point. We're going to go 4 to the left. We're going to go 4 up. We're going to connect all those points in a circular motion, like kind of make it look as close to a circle as we can, like that. This is our circle. If you have a compass, I'd recommend using that. If not, you can freehand it like I did. It looks kind of bad, but we know that is going to be our circle. So let's do the next question on the note sheet. We're going to start off by listing our center. And again, x squared, if it is just x squared or if it's just y squared, understand that this value is going to equal 0. If there's a number paired with it, it's going to be that number. But if not, it's going to be 0. So we're going to start off with our center. This side, we know our x value is going to be 0, and our y value is the opposite of the number with the y. So if it's a -2, it's going to be a +2. Our radius is equal to the square root of the number it's equal to, or the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is just 2. So we're going to start off at our center. Our center is 0, 2. So that's our first point. That is going to be the center of our circle. Our radius is 2, so we're going to go all around it 2 units. I'm going to go 2 to the right, 2 to the left, 2 up, and 2 down. Remember, it's always going to be all the way around. I do have a compass this time, so I'm going to see if I can get it small enough to make our circle. You're going to line it up with your 2 points. That's too big. Kind of like that. And we're going to make our circle. And I keep moving it. It's not working out too well. So I'm just going to finish it off. As long as your circle looks something similar to this, make sure you graph all 4 points in order to be able to solve for this one. Graph all 4 points, left, right, up, and down. Make sure you graph all of those, okay? We're going to move on to the next part. We have 2 more to graph like this one, and then we're going to write the equation of the graph. Okay, so we're going to find our center again. Now, again, the center is h, comma, k. H is going to be right here. I'm going to rewrite my formula. Okay, so our h is the opposite of whatever is with x. So this is a +4, so it's going to become a -4. This is a +1 for k, so that means it's going to be a -1. That is our center. The radius is the square root of this number. So the radius is going to be the square root of 4. 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. We have a pair. We're going to pull that out. R is going to be 2. We're going to start by plotting our center. Our center is -4, -1. It's our first point. Our radius is 2. So I'm going to make 4 points, left, right, up, and down, that are exactly 2 away from the center. Like that. Then I'm going to connect the dots. That is my circle. And last but not least, we got one more of this type. If you guys have questions on these, please feel free to ask. We're going to start off by writing our center. We're going to use the same formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Let's start with our center. Remember, the center is h, comma, k. Our h value is 2. Our y value, be careful, if this is a +4, we do the opposite. It's going to be a -4. That is going to be our center. Our radius is the square root of this number, or the square root of 1. The square root of 1 is just 1. We're going to start at plotting our center. Our center is at 2, -4. And our radius is 1. So we're going to do 1 to the left, 1 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 up, and 1 down. We're going to connect those points. That is going to be my little tiny circle. Now for number 11, we're going to actually write the equation of this one. The first thing I want to note is, where is the center of my circle? Well, let's start by looking at our diameter. So this is going to be the diameter, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So 1, 2, 3. This is the center of the circle. Right there is the center. So the center is 2, 3. The radius is how far is the center from the edge. So if I look, it's 1, 2, 3. The radius is 3 units. So now that I have this information, we can plug it into our formula like we did before. So we're going to start with x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Remember, h and k are just the x and y values of the center. So we're going to plug it in. It's going to be x minus our x value, which is 2 squared, plus y minus our k value, which is 3, equals r squared, or 3 squared, which is 9. That is the equation of our graph. Let's look at number 13. That way I don't have to move the camera yet. So let's look at number 13. Again, we're going to look at where our radius is. This is, or our diameter. This is about the center. Yeah. So right here is the center of our circle. It is at -1, 4. That's our h and k. And the radius is 3. It's 3 over from the center. Again, you just count 1, 2, 3. It's 3 units for the radius. We're going to plug that into our formula. X minus h. X minus -1 plus y minus k, which is 4 squared, equals our radius squared, or 3 squared. If we subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive. So that means x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. We got 2 more examples like this, and then we're going to move on to tomorrow. So this is what I want you guys to do this today. There's a worksheet online for these. We're going to do 2 more examples, and then make sure you guys work on the worksheet. So looking at number 12, again, we're going to start off by figuring out our center. I like to draw 2 lines at the diameters, figure it out. This is going to be the center of my circle. Wherever those 2 lines cross is the center. So this one is at -4, +3. Goes over -4 and is up 3. That is the center. The radius, we're going to count from the center over to the edge of our circle. 1, 2, 3. Is it the same on the other side? Yep. So it is 3 units. We're going to plug that into our formula like before. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. X minus -4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 3 squared. If we subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive, so it'd be x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. And last but not least, our last question, we're going to start by finding our center. This is the center of my circle. It's at -2, -4. Remember, always do the x value, then the y value. That is my center. This is my h, and this is my k. That gives me x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We need to figure out the r. 1, 2, it's 2 units is the radius. We're going to plug this into our formula. That gives me x minus -2 squared plus y minus negative 4 squared equals 2 squared. If we subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive. And this is our equation. Again, if you guys have questions on this, please message me on Schoology. Other than that, I want you guys to work on the worksheet in the Monday folder. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Other than that, you guys are free to go.